What we shouldn't do is let this be an IT-led program. If it doesn't go well, let's blame IT. We can beat up the project manager because it's all gone wrong. It should be a business-run program.
Is it possible at all to create this no blame culture for large SAP organizations? Or is it just this mythical unicorn? Everyone would like to maybe have it, but in reality, you just cannot have it.
Guys, I'm not here to tell you news that you're happy with or unhappy with. I'm here to tell you the news.
Yeah, just send it to our help desk. Yeah, but the help desk says you will respond within 3 months. Yeah, that's our standard procedure.
SAP used to have the tagline, run simple. And it might not be a bad tagline to get back to.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michał Krawczyk, and I would like to welcome you today to another episode of Navigating SAP API Testing, the show where we talk about why and how SAP organizations can test integrations, which are the backbones of digital transformation programs. I'm very happy that today we're joined by a guest like unlike any other, a man who has delivered very complex SAP programs for many Fortune 500 companies in multiple countries. A man who has been leading the business and IT teams all over the world. A man who's been there, done that, has probably seen everything there is to see in the SAP program or project management world. And the man is Paul Byrne. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Hey, I'm just looking over my shoulder. Who is this guy you're talking about?
Yes. So thank you so much for joining, Paul. So maybe if you can introduce yourself, if you would like to introduce yourself a little bit more.
Sure. I've been doing ERP, not only SAP, for I think it's just the early mid 90s. And I'm not going to be so obnoxious as to say I've seen everything, but I've seen a lot because I'm sure on the next one I'm going to get some surprises. It's but generally, what with the most problems that I see are all human related. Of course, the tech is complicated because there's too many buttons you can click and too many configs you can do. But it's all to do with sponsorship and empowerment of people making decisions. That's always the biggest challenges.
Paul, we will dive into those topics, but when we were actually talking backstage before during preparation for this episode, you've mentioned that for a person of your experience, it would be a waste of time not to write a book, but you would have to wait until a few people will not be around to see it. Um, I'm assuming that many of those stories are related to those human factors that you've just mentioned. Uh, is there any kind of story for a start that you can maybe share with us?
Mm,
Not mentioning the names, obviously.
Of course, I'll tell you one. I got a call on a Friday evening from a previous client and said, "Oh, I'm in real trouble. I need some help. Um, the email is not working." And this is when I was just doing normal tech back in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s. Um, and I went, I'm really tired after my week, and I don't have the energy. And he went, "No, Paul, I really need you. I'm really stuck." So I went in, looked. I could figure out everything looked like me to the mail was working. The CEO said, "No, no, no, it's not working. It's there's major problems." I went, "Okay." So uh, I said, "Right, what I'll do is I'll build you another mail server. We'll stick one up. We'll recover the backup. We'll try to figure out. We'll do some testing." And this took me all weekend. Uh, After a full week, on the Monday morning when I came in, the CEO was like, "Well, have you fixed it? Have you fixed it?" I went, "Well, I've got your email is all working. It's much more secure now because we've got a failover server if anything happens." He said, "No, no." I said, "It's still not working. What's wrong?" I said, "Okay, tell me what the problem is." He said, "I sent a mail to myself to remind me to do something on a Monday morning." I'm like, "Oh, right." I said, "Tell you what, go and get yourself a coffee and I'll go and figure it out." And I looked on his laptop. He had unplugged, this is before Wi-Fi was popular, he'd unplugged his Ethernet cable. The mail was still stuck in his outbox, but he wasn't sending it to an important client. Like it wasn't $1 million
Yeah.
client. It was he's sending it to himself, a to-do list. And I spent 48 hours rebuilding their whole mail infrastructure. And I was like, there you go. 30 seconds later, plug the Ethernet cable in, done. Sent the mail. He's like, wow, you know, that
But Paul, that was a typical human problem, right?
classic.
But
I have another one. Again, another weekend scenario. Client called me up. We can't see any of our files. We can't see the file storage. It's all gone. It's disappeared. Now, I'd worked with this client before. I'd built them, and I'll tell you how long ago it was. I'd built the Novell 311 server. Their and I'd upgraded it to a 312. And I went back in, and they were like, "Okay, where's the server?" Right? Because I could see there was some work done in the offices. They'd done some painting and decorating, and moving things around. I could see there was a small server room. Well, it wasn't a big company, uh, but I couldn't see the file server. I said, "Where's the server?" Well, what server? What are you talking about? I said, "Well, it used to be there where that wall is." And they were like, "No, well, there's nothing there. We put some bathrooms in there. We put a staff kitchen there." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, but there's still a space there." And he went, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." I went to the hardware shop. I bought a lump hammer and I started smashing at this wall. And the CEO was going, "What are you doing? You're breaking my office." I went, "No, I'm not." And literally, I smashed the hole in this wall. I went, "The server is there." Right. And all that had happened was the fuse in the plug had gone. Right? I said, okay, to stop that happening again, I need to bring that server and put it into the server room, not under the kitchen sink, probably. That's where all your files are for forever. They're there. But yeah, everybody got stressed. I'll give you another one. I would again when I was just being it was a tech. Uh, I I would wait, every day after everybody had gone home, and I would look at people's computers. I had everybody's password, and completely wrong. So I just log into the computer, have a look, maybe do a defrag, do a check disk, do this sort of stuff on people's computers. And then one person had a really full recycle bin. I was like, okay, let me empty the recycle bin. I'm like, okay, done. Next day, all hell broke loose. You deleted all my files. I went, what? Uh, I store all my files in the recycle bin. I'm like, why do you do that? He said, well, because it's easier to get because I can just delete them and put them in the recycle bin and one click. If I have to put them on a server somewhere, it's 2 or 3 clicks and put it into a folder and create a project and create a project folder and put it into that folder. I'm going, and the CFO was like ripping me a new one. Why did you empty the bin? I'm like, well, it's kind of like this. If I was the cleaner and I didn't empty the trash bins, you'd be having a word with me. So I'm the IT guy. I'm maintaining the computers to the best of my ability so that the people can do their work. You're killing me because someone stores their files, their important corporate files, on in their recycle bin. Really? Where they're not picked up. You've got no referenceability to them. They're in somebody's recycle bin, and it's my fault. But yeah,
I guess at the time the IT audits were not available or not easily accessible
no,
from,
no, no, not at all.
from this perspective. But I also have one. I also have one about the. We were building. It was early 2000. We were building integrations for one of the customers, and we came back the day later, and the customer said, "Guys, nothing is working. No integration is working." We said, "Yeah, but I mean, what happened? We need to find out." And it turns out that the integration server in the back then in the local data center is not working. So we were trying to find out, yeah, but but the admins, we checked with admins, they didn't do anything, but there's no communication. Okay, so let's go there. Yeah, we have to just go a few stairs downstairs and check it. And it turns out that all of those servers are unplugged, that are related to integration platform. And we were trying to find out what happened, but one of the colleagues who was there actually saw, look guys, those servers are incredibly clean from the top. So we called the cleaners, and it turned out, yeah, that the ladies were there and they wanted to clean everything very nicely, so they just unplugged all of the servers and just forgot to plug them back. But yeah, but that was a production system. So,
Yeah, it's the
but at least everything was very clean. So maybe we can discuss about good intentions in SAP programs also, right? Because
indeed.
everyone has good intentions. But Paul, maybe coming back to the topic, when we also discussed SAP programs, we know that those programs are very complex from multiple areas, right? It can be technology, it can be human side of that. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more from your experience? Where is there any room for simplifications on those huge? Let's maybe concentrate first on those large SAP programs. Is there any room for simplification whatsoever, or do they just have to be that complex and we have to manage this complexity somehow?
Right. Really good question. What is, I think maybe just step back a little piece and go, what is an ERP system? And it doesn't really matter which ERP system you're talking about. ERP systems don't generate money, but they do control your organization. Whether it's warehouse management, inventory, sales and distribution, and logistics, supply chain, finance, they don't actually generate money, but they're integrated across your whole business. If you do something on one end, it's going to have an impact down on the other side. So if you put in swim lanes, if you uh, update your MRP, if you do demand planning, capacity planning, capability planning, if you change the your stock around in your warehouse management system, if you know there it's integrated. So if you do something on one end, it's going to impact the other side. I do think, and you actually got a really good point. Do they need to be as complex as they are? No, they don't. Um, I think we as humans make things more complicated than they should be, uh, and a lot of that is to do with change management. Uh, People don't want to; they don't like change. They don't want to change. We've always done things like this around here, so people overcomplicate. Uh, and they customize the system to do what they've always done. Now, so if you do that, you're going to get the same old in a shiny new box, right? And just look at it from a data perspective. You got data. Used to call it customers and vendors. Now it's business partner. Uh, Getting out of that mindset or getting people away from the T code for that is.
Hmm.
Let me ask you a question, Michał. How many telephone numbers can you remember in your head?
Maybe five.
Yeah, and that's good actually. The reason you don't have a lot more in your head because you've got a mobile phone with an address book in it, and you can look up Paul's name and find his number on it, right?
Yeah.
The
Hmm.
same with T codes. The T code, you'll have a list laminated on the side of your desk of the regular T codes that you use, and you
Hmm.
forget the ones that you only use once a month, once a quarter, once a year,
Yeah,
right? And you've got to look them up,
that's
and that customization that you wanted, absolutely necessary. You're going to find out that when you do the custom code analysis, when you do a readiness check to move to S4, when you look at your RICEFs, you're going to find out when you turn on, well, your basis team should turn on your S team on and go find out what stuff is actually being used. You've taken away the complexity. And what drives the complexity? Most organizations say, my business is special. Yes, your business is
Yeah.
special, but every business is special. It doesn't mean you can't have something different, but you can do it in a standard way. Uh,
Mm.
Without talking specifically about S4, but any ERP system, and okay, we should talk about SAP because that's the business we're in, right? And without spending too much time on your as is, you look at the as is process and go, okay, that was 15. I'm making this up. That was 15 screens and 50 mouse clicks. And the best practice
Mm.
for that, this is we've used Signavio, for example, and we see that you're using it a certain way, but it's not the best way that you should use that workflow. So here's the best practice that SAP have spent millions uh, defining and getting right. And then you go, uh, that's the best way of doing it. Oh, and by the way, that's only 5 screens and 20 mouse clicks.
Mm.
That's going to give you 15 minutes every hour back out of every day. And there's 2,000 employees in your company. They've all got 15 minutes back a day because you've decomplexed things and you've changed ways of working. So,
So if I get this right, Paul, one of your advice, let's say if I'm a program manager or maybe a program manager with much less experience, you're advising that one of the things a program manager should look like is first of all understand what is being used, but then try to map it to the pre-configured scenarios and spend a lot of time on this instead of checking the requirements from the users, because they just view everything in the old way. So obviously they will just want to have, as in the famous saying, a horse with wheels,
yep.
right, instead of a car.
Well, that's what Henry Ford said. If he had listened to people, he'd have just
Yeah.
made a faster horse, right?
Yeah.
So you're completely on point with that. It's of course we should listen to the users, and we should gather all the requirements because I need to. You still need to be able to do that. I need to make that thing, whatever that thing is. If it's an upside down one of those in black, fine. That's what we do because we need to make the product that our customers want. So how you make it, um, it's a manufacturing process. Yes,
Mm.
you need MES systems to do that, but I posted something last night, which is we for transformations we need a an absolute focus on smaller, more well-defined goals. Right? What are the expected outcome? Focus, focus, focus. Not have a woolly. We want one of these that does that and whatever.
Mm.
We here's what we expect out of this. Uh, and it's not about the new UI UX. It's the business outcomes. What can we get out of this? And also the bit that everyone forgets, right, is that no organization has, or very few has organizations have only got one ERP or one
Mm.
system. This is where the integration comes into things, where we're looking at. There's lots of systems out there, whether it's an MES or a system of innovation or a system of differentiation. So defining that as opposite against your system of record, you've still got to get that data flowing from one to other, to the processes from one to other. What is your end-to-end goal? And SAP used to have the tagline "Run simple," uh,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it might not be a bad tagline to get back to. Uh,
Mm.
because again, and it's a human thing, we complicate things, and we shouldn't, because we want to make stuff to. Let's say if your business is manufacturing, make it to stock. Do we make it to stock? Do we make to order? So how much stuff can we keep in stock? Because we got to warehouse it, we got to stock it all up.
Mm.
We got to have our raw materials or semi-finished goods or finished goods warehouses, kind of all of those things, and they take space and they cost money. But we like to complicate things as human beings. So let's.
Okay, so Paul, so Paul, maybe one thing to look at it. What is it that we should be doing? So I understand that you're saying we should understand how the system is being used right now, but also how the system can be used in a much simplified way in the future, and just try to go there, maybe with predefined scenarios. What if we would look at this from the a little bit more from the inverse perspective? Are there some of the things, or would you have some sort of advice that will definitely make the project very complex? So if we would just avoid those, then ultimately we will end up with a simplified program. Is there anything? Do you have any really good advice which we have to listen if we want to make sure that our project will be very, our SAP program will be very complex and it will be very difficult to manage?
So
Would you have any advice on this inverse side,
I
maybe?
will I would I would always jump that this kind of question up a little bit and go, what do we do well? And so we should carry on doing that as a business, right? What do we not do so well and we need to improve on doing? What do we not do that we need to start doing? And what do we do that we need to stop doing? Let's not just keep on doing what we were always doing. It's a mindset change that needs to happen rather than a, a complexity side of things.
Okay, and maybe I will have just for the viewers, maybe just one clarification on this Paul, if I can interrupt. Um, if I'm a SAP, let's say ECC customer, very often I see, yeah, we're pretty good with SAP. We know how to do small changes. Yeah, so the S4 HANA program, yeah, we need to upgrade. Maybe let's go for the greenfield approach. Maybe let's try some sort of a selective data transition. We're good with everything. We're more or less good with everything. How would we be able to tell those colleagues that maybe you should not do something because the program will be too complex? Because the way how I'm viewing those programs is very often that, yeah, we do many things really good. So as for HANA transformation, yeah, it will take maybe 2, 3, 4 years, but it will be just a bigger project that we're doing compared to what we're doing right now. How do we tell them this is not true? That you have to think a little bit more what not to do, not to overcomplicate it.
Another really good question. So it's it's really about it's again it's a mindset change, that is going to start right from the beginning, from your senior sponsorship, leadership, vision, uh, to your strategy to implement something. What we shouldn't do is let this be an IT led program. Uh,
Mm.
because it's not it's oh, that's just IT again. If it doesn't go well, let's blame IT. It should be a business run program, because it's really easy to blame the techie boys and girls,
Yeah.
because it didn't go well. But because you guys didn't engage, your business didn't engage, and I've heard people, talk about, oh, we're going to implement. I can't remember the transaction in question. We're going to do this, and nobody around the table knew what they were talking about because this guy learned this new functionality off of his functional
Mm.
consultant, and he just went with it, and he was talking a different language. Go and speak the language of the business. Uh, how does it affect me? How does it affect you?
Mm.
What's the impact? What do I need to do to make that thing happen? Because people get afraid. They're afraid of this big, huge program that's going to come is coming at you down the road, right? But it's still 1, 2, 3 years away, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Communicate, communicate, communicate. Tell people what's going on. Don't over communicate. because people won't read it. Keep it short, keep it snappy, tell people what's going on. How to undercomplicate things, communicate with all your suppliers, all of your interfaces, all of your, because when you want to go live, uh, the priority for you is going live. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
the priority of your partners who are busy running their own business. Let's call them 3PLs, for example,
Yeah.
right? Um, they're I won't mention names, but large logistics providers, they come in with a set of rules to say you must fit our standard. Now we're not going to fit yours, and you go, oh wow, we've built it this way, so now Mister 3PL, you're our supplier. You must do it our way. And they're like, no, we've got thousands of customers worldwide. And then you've also got the smaller 3PLs who might be Joe and Paul with one van, who've got no ERP system, and you're printing out and still. Does anybody remember fax? You're faxing the load schedule and the delivery schedule, or maybe let's not say fax, but you're maybe emailing this to them to get it done. They can't necessarily deal with EDI or an interface
Yeah.
because they don't have anything, because there's two or three people in an office, and so yeah, keep it simple. It's and there's an analogy for it. It's keep it stupidly simple. KISS.
There's maybe I can bring out the story from the integration world. So very often for the large S4HANA transformation programs, the customers are also changing the integration platform. And those integration platforms, it can be connected, for example, to 500 customers. And the development team says, yeah, okay, we can this is 500 messages. We can do it in, let's say, maybe 60 days. I'm just making it up, right? In 60 days. So that is actually 1 month for 3 people. Okay, yeah, we can do it for 1 month. But in order to communicate with 500 customers, just to be able to change the connectivity, that can easily take a year. So compare this with the development where maybe it's just a simple lift and shift, or maybe you have to change some of the things. Very, very simple thing. On the other hand, we just have to communicate. We just have to call 500 partners. At first, we need to check the communication maybe on the test system. We need to make sure that everything is working on the production system. And one very important thing is that it needs to work on a single day. Everything needs to work on a single day. So this is one of those simplifications where we also, as INT4, we try to work with, where we say also decouple, isolate. I mean, not everything can be done with everyone. I don't know if it matches also with your thoughts.
It does, and I would say, excuse me for slightly contradicting you here, but you also need to make sure it's working from a human level. What I mean with that is that on each one of those partners, somebody's got to own the
Yeah,
have
yeah,
and have real ownership for this, going right, and to be able to test those messages as they're coming in, and or maybe not do it themselves, but they're going to delegate it to someone to do it. Now, is it coming in the format we can understand? Is it translated correctly? Because you can send the message perfectly, but if it's not received and if somebody doesn't own it,
yeah.
on the day you go live, they're going to get thousands and thousands of messages through, and they're going to go, "Oh my God, what do we do?" And it's not working, and then you're firefighting, in hypercare to try and fix things. So have an owner.
I think the owner question, because it's so much related to this human aspect. One of the things that I don't know, Paul, if you could comment on that, is not all companies are equal for SAP programs. What I'm trying to say is that, for example, let's imagine that we're one of the 5 biggest FMCG companies in the world, or 5 biggest oil companies in the world. When they talk to the 3PLs, there is ownership. There's no problem, or maybe there are problems, but it's not that complex to find someone who will help you, because if you tell them, I'm one of the biggest companies in the world, look how much business you're running through me. If you don't help me for next week, then we have a serious problem. On the other hand, we have a lot of local companies, maybe just works in one country, or maybe in just a few countries. When they go to the same vendors, suppliers, 3PLs, there's a completely different communication. It's like, yeah, just send it to our help desk. Yeah, but the help desk says you will respond within 3 months. Yeah, that's our standard procedure. So I don't know if you also see this difference between working for a customer who has a lot of push power, and working for maybe company that is, I wouldn't even say that is starting, because these are large corporations, but they do not have this human push
No,
or human ownership.
completely get that, and I've got a good example on that. One project we did, and I remember with great affection. We had to replace the way bridges on site when the trucks were coming in, because we found out too late that the way bridges could not communicate with SAP. And we tried RFC messages, we tried all sorts of things. They were just too old. They worked
Mm,
physically, but there was somebody literally writing down the weight of each truck, and sending it by email up to the
mm,
office as it was coming through. Now, here was the challenge: is some of the trucks were rejected. The load was rejected. I don't want to talk about the industry, so they had to go back out across the weighbridge, get weighed out again, and go to get resorted in an external warehouse. So we thought, well, what we need to do is get two new weighbridges, and we spoke to a supplier, and I was very frank with them. I went, "You've told me you can do this in 10 days. I need assurance from you is going to be 10 days. Uh, if you've got any slippage, call me. I can fix anything if I know about it. If I don't know about it, and then they wandered on 10 days, nothing was happening. So, of course, the guy got a call, and there was a robust conversation. Um, and, and after the robust conversation, things started to happen. Now, I'm not saying nothing happened in the 10 days, but you promised 10 days to be
mm,
complete. Now, it did only turn out to be 12 days, but that knocked my program on uh,
yeah.
because they weren't communicating back with us. So, um, it's a lot of cases suppliers overpromise and underdeliver. Um, And yeah, we know it. It's technology. It can take longer. Tell me about your problems. Tell me about your challenges. Tell me you've run into problems. We can work on it together because
But Paul, maybe if I can challenge you here a little bit, what you're asking for, right? What you're asking, tell me about your problems. Tell me if you're going to slip. Tell me about this. That sounds all reasonable. What is the root cause behind this, that people are not doing this?
people don't.
What is the reason that people would not communicate? What is the I mean, I'm pretty sure that they can send an email, they can call you, right? What is the root cause of those conflicts? Is there any? Is there any root
People
cause?
don't want to admit their failings. They're wrong. I've done something wrong. I've configured that EDI wrong. I haven't tested it. I've no time. Most organizations are running a matrix fashion these days. Matrix only means you've got more than one boss, and then more than one boss gives you more than one task to do, and lots of other priorities. So when you come in the morning, you go, "They're my priorities," and your boss or other boss tells you, "No, no, no, I need you to do this. I need you to focus on this." So having trying to build a no blame culture is what I talk about. Going,
Hmm.
I go, yeah, I'm not here to beat you up or roast you. Going, if you've done something wrong or if you're running behind, tell somebody, communicate it back out to somebody. We will find someone to help you. Even if you're working with this supply company, I can put additional pressure uh, on your management to make sure this is done. Give you a classic example: going live on a project that I was brought in to turn around. It had failed twice. Uh, I was fortunate, and I say fortunate because I didn't do it by design. I bought the solution architect, our solution architect, with us. Um, it didn't look like it was going to go live. We were on a go no go call, and I'm recommending to the senior stakeholders not to go live. The senior stakeholder said to me, "Well, Paul, I'm not happy with that information." I'm going, guys, I'm not here to tell you news that you're happy with or unhappy with. I'm here to tell you the news, right? And then together we'll make a decision. Again, back to the fortunate case that I had the solution architect with me. He was able to go down to the server room because we were actually on one of the partner sites. And he said, I've spotted the problem. So he said, can we reconvene in 1 hour's time? And we had gone and we'd roll our sleeves up and we'd fixed the partner's problem on their server side. And then I was like to their project manager, I want you in here for a meeting. I want your boss. I want your boss's boss. I want your boss's boss's boss. I want your boss's 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 boss in here. And they're all busy in meetings. I said, well, make those meetings end because um, this is too important for all of us. It's failed twice. It's not going to fail again. I'm pushing the ownership right up to your CEO. And there was I use the word robust a lot. There was a robust conversation because we fixed their system. They were not mature enough on their side to fix it. So, uh, and we didn't want to take the credit for it. Gone, just and that. So at that point in time, we'd figured out that it was their lack of maturity. Through they talked a good talk, but they couldn't walk the walk.
Again, Paul, when you're talking about this no blame culture, trying to create this no blame culture, I would like to challenge you with maybe one question. So SAP is now talking a lot about innovation. This is the main theme, and we know that innovations in a way these are the only enablers of the progress. But when we're talking about one of the things which is necessary for bringing up innovations, which is creating an innovation culture in the programs, one of the in companies, one of the aspects of that is this no blame culture, right?
Yep.
One of this is, give it a try, fail, but fail quickly. But my question is, if I understand that this is perfectly reasonable and perfectly, I would say maybe even easy for small companies, for small organizations, is it possible to implement this kind of culture, this kind of innovation framework for large organizations where what you do, and maybe I'm biased by working with really big SAP customers only, where what you do on this SAP program depends what you will be doing for the next 5 years, because the company will probably move you somewhere. If everything will be fine, they will move you to a higher level. If you will make a few mistakes and someone, it doesn't even have to be everyone, someone will not understand that you were trying to do something innovative and that's why you failed, you will either be downgraded, or maybe you will stay at the same position for the next 5 years, which again will be treated as something negative.
Yep.
So my question is this: is it possible at all to create this no blame culture for large SAP organizations, or is it just this mythical unicorn? Everyone would like to maybe have it, but in reality, you just cannot have it.
No, you can, and it's all around the individual. And let me call myself that individual. I give the team the top cover. I take away the politics. Uh, you're, you work for IT4, I work for Dragon ERP, but now we all work for the customer. So take your logo, take your badge off, leave it at the door, leave your ego at the door with you. Uh, And I will question everything. I am such a pain in the neck, I'll say, with everybody. I will. I fight with everybody, but in a proactive way, because I want to
Mhm.
understand that you know what you're doing. I kind of have one rule, which is don't just do it. Get a peer review. Get someone you can talk to. Trust in the organization. I'm thinking about doing that. What do you think? Oh, no, 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 don't do that, because I've tried that. And you one brain can do so much, but you got two brains, it's more than double. Going because their experience and their lives, life experience can actually help. And if someone comes to me with a really technical issue, I'm going to go, I actually don't know the answer to that, but I know someone who does. Let's get you guys talking. Let's figure out. Uh, and you know, I'm like, be the idiot in the room. Uh, you know,
Mm.
if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. So I'm continually questioning, but in a no blame way, going, well, is that the right thing to do? Why is it the right thing to do? And again, you're not getting into a compromise situation. You're just trying to figure out, is it the right thing? But also coming out of those meetings with decisions made and a way forward. So what you said earlier, you know, fail early. I actually say it slightly differently. Fail early, fail small, recover fast, right? And that's what you do in an innovation thing. But you do that away from your productive system, your system of record. You do it away from your system of differentiation. Maybe you're going to have an innovation lab. And maybe I'm going to jump back to the start of the question, going, it's all fine and well, SAP saying that we'll be more innovation, but is the organization ready for the innovation?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
are they able for it? You know, and they don't have to answer to me and say, if you want to get to Industry 4.0 and the intelligent enterprise and continuous innovation and continuous improvement, going, where are you now? Where are if
Mm.
you're at Industry 1.0, and that might be a ridiculously basic uh, scenario I'm giving, but to jump, just use it for a second. So, Industry 1.0, to jump to an innovative Industry 4.0 is too big of a jump. Maybe we need to bring you to Industry 2.0, 3.0, 3.5, 4, you
Mm.
know. And that's bringing the maturity of your organization up. Let me give you the best example, the best compliment I was ever given as I was leaving an organization. They said, they stood me in front of it was the whole office was more than 500 people. I was like thinking, okay, right, I'll just pack up my bags and I'll be done. I'm out the door. And the CEO called me into the office and everybody is standing there. And he stood up on one of the desks and he went, Paul dragged us kicking and screaming against our will into the 21st century. Uh, and everybody was, even though everyone and I had some challenges, over the years, it was a huge celebration, and there was a few tears, mostly mine. uh, got emotional, because when you realize you've done something, you've brought an organization forward. Uh,
Yeah.
and I've still got one of those customers that still talks to me and asks me questions today, 30 years later.
The perception is that if somehow we will do something, then the S4HANA program will not be will be easy to implement. We will struggle a bit, but it will be easy. And I think what you're trying to say, it's we have to be frank, it's not going to be easy, but let's create a framework, this no blame culture, that it will be tough, but we will not kill each other during the process. We will just, because we have the same goal, we have to do this, we want to do this, but it will not be easy.
But okay,
Is that
it
is
is.
that my understanding
It
also?
is. But let me say, okay, you're a slim guy, but let's just say, you want to lose some weight. There's no point in going to the gym and looking on your phone. You work out.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
good things are not easy to do.
exactly,
Big
exactly,
things are not easy.
exactly.
If it changes, worth doing. And that's where you jump back and go, what's the business case for this? Why are we
Yeah.
doing this? Right? With and you're looking at the front end of it and going, the business benefits. There's a diagram going around about 70% of ERP projects fail. That's rubbish.
Yeah.
They don't. They
Mm.
successfully go live. But do they deliver all the business benefits that were perceived at
Exactly.
the start at the end? That's where failure comes in. Somebody came up with a wonderful graphic, but that was one of the analyst firms, and it's still doing the rounds. I see it every now and then, and I often call it, unicorn poop, because it's not true. Uh,
Mm.
we get it live, but is it MVP? My most
Yeah.
hated
Yeah.
saying, minimal viable product. Nobody ever asked you for a minimal viable product. It
Yeah.
works, but does it do what it's supposed to do? You know, are we going to be struggling with old processes in a shiny new system? Are we going to be struggling with, is Michał, we don't know exactly what he does, but he does something once a month to make sure that all the invoices go out. Oh, hang on, he's on vacation. He's on holiday today. Oh, what do we do? You want to get away from that hero culture in an organization to be able to, and this is not about an individual or individuals. You go, let's cross skill the organization so that we're all better at what we're doing, and that where you mentioned earlier, somebody can get, if you do a job well, you can get promoted. You don't do it well, you're going to end up cleaning the toilets for the rest of your career, right? And that take away the blame, because you know allow people to fail, and sometimes you've got to go. I can never ever tell a customer going, I told you so. But so what I do sometimes, if they're arrogant enough, they want to carry on doing it in their way, I let them fail small. Then I kind of
Yeah.
pick them up, dust them down, and go, let's do it a different way, you know. And that different way, I've ingrained in their head that it's their idea. Okay, now we're doing it the way I wanted to do originally, and there may still be some speed bumps, but we'll get there.
So Paul, thank you so much. Maybe just for the, because we have a few questions,
Sure.
maybe we can jump into those questions right now. So you have a chance to answer that. So the first question is from Ilya. Should a company adapt their business processes to standard, try to fit the solution to their business processes, or meet somewhere in the middle? From what I see, that's where it gets complicated, and very few wants to adjust their business processes, but couldn't fit in standard with their today's processes.
Okay, great question. So fit to standard is a really good way of doing things, because if you jump back and go, are we doing things the best way we do now? A scenario gone. Ilya and I, we set up a company years ago in the same sector, and Ilya is more successful than me, so he buys me out, right? And he looks and goes, well, I don't like the way Paul's processes worked. I'm gonna swap in all my processes for his. But if Ilya, if you're being honest with yourself, you should go, uh, are my processes the best? And there is so much of best practices that can be done, fit to standard. But and if we listen to SAP, they'll go all standard, go all best practices. But that's like painting every room in your house vanilla, right? Uh, so you don't do that. If you can do the 80-20 rule, that can help. Get as much as you can do in the best practice way as you can today, and then you go into continuous improvement, simplification.
There's also another question from Edward. The key to all is getting the right project management team,
Or get the project management team.
or
So
is
yep, someone we can beat up the project manager because it's all gone wrong, right? No, no, your project manager doesn't do anything really. You've got different types of project managers, people that will sit there and do a fantastic project plan. But the best project plan goes to pot at first contact with reality. So the kind of project manager that I am, is I'm also going around walking the walk, walking around, making myself visible, finding out what the problems are, touching, feeling feeling the vibe of what's actually happening. Now, when your project management team also consists of your PMO. The PMO are just like, you get a good PMO, it's worth its weight in gold. You get a bad PMO, they're only ticking boxes and wanting reports, and they want to keep everything green. Now, a great project manager uh, will be able to manage stakeholders in a way going, don't worry if the project goes amber. It just means it needs a little adjustment. But
Mm,
here's a
mm.
plan to bring it back to green. If the project goes red, it needs more significant help. Something else has happened, but here's the path back to green. It's a project that's green all the time is got a huge red flag over for me. So it should go in because it's not your business as usual. It's a different thing you're doing. So honest, open, transparent reporting.
And maybe Paul, one question related to the question from Edward. So Edward, thank you so much. This is maybe an organizational question or setup question. The project manager, the SAP project manager, is very often someone from outside of the organization. Would it make sense for the internal SAP program managers to have advisor, like some sort of a mentor project management role that is not working on the program but actually helps the internal project manager with all of the knowledge that you're bringing? So my question is, why, for example, you as Paul or some of your colleagues, why are you working as very often as program managers and not necessarily helping the working as mentors or advisors to the internal teams? So you're not biased with the delivery, but you can even be more open talking to the internal team. Is that something you've ever
Yes,
thought about,
and
or does it make
it's something we
sense?
do a lot of actually. It's
Mm,
project and program assurance rather than But here's the challenge with getting an internal project manager. Everybody knows him or her, right? And they know
mm,
what they're made of, and they can quite happily ignore them. So if they somebody's given you a project, you don't even know how to spell SAP, right? And they're gonna look. It's gonna look really good on your CV, on your resume. But 6 months down the line, the project's in the can, and your CV is there with it. So having an external advisor is massively important because you as a permanent employee are looking that it's going to look really bad on my CV. It's going to bad on my career. If this goes wrong, I'm going to be fired. So I'll just give good news and 10 minutes to midnight,
mm.
oh, it's not working. So that's a great way of really upsetting everybody because it's going to cost a whole ton, a lot of more money to fix it. So having that external person, uh, and that person is a person you don't have to agree with all the time. Uh, you've got to be able to have robust conversations with that person, uh, and allow yourself to disagree and allow yourself to be convinced. They won't get it right 100% of the time either. But again, I'm back to the
Mm.
two brains, and because your internal person knows the workings of the organization, your external person knows how an SAP program should be run. So together, you got your peer review.
I think that is something that is not being discussed that much. This mentor, this advisory role. It's like I didn't see that on many programs. So maybe we can also talk about this in a separate episode.
Absolutely.
There's just one last question from Nikhil. Maybe we still have 5 more minutes. So Nikhil is asking, how do we get everyone interested in testing and validations during the initial days of the ERP implementation? This seems to be a crucial phase wherein it is easiest to self-correct, but often when people are most resistant.
Okay. Brilliant question, Mikhail. And my our approach is that you do everything in phase zero, which is set the organization up for success. God, we need to get processes, we need to get data, and we need to maybe build something. If we build something, we need to test it. whether that's data processes or whatever. So it needs to be tested. Now, who knows how to test anything? Because I'm a business user, right? I don't know how to test anything. I've never, explained to people what a business test scenario is. And it's not, click the start button, go to SAP, open SAP logon, workbench, whatever, right? Do this, click that button. That's all boring script stuff. Jump up a level, make it interesting, and always make your argument for what does it mean to me, right? If we don't test this correctly, if we don't understand your end-to-end processes, not your as is end-to-end process, because if you focus too much on your as is processes, you're only going to cement in the current as is, and you're going to make it hard to move to the to be. So that's how you do things today. This is how we're looking at doing things tomorrow. We need to be able to test that. Can we still make it? Can we still sell it? Can we still take orders? Can we still ship it? Can we still bill for it? These are the high level big ticket items, right? Can we still store it? I could keep on going. Is it semi-finished goods? Is it raw materials? Is it whatever it is it MRP, whatever? We need to be able to test all of those things, but address your audience in we're going to do this, and here's what it means to me. And
So we need to make it personal,
yeah,
if we can say it like this.
absolutely, and get
Nikhil,
ownership.
so Nikhil, I think what if I would sum up what Paul was also saying, get is as personal as possible, so that people are involved. That's the thing, right? If you give it to someone who is not interested in, who just knows how to do testing but doesn't understand why they're doing it, it's the same with everything, right? If you ask your child to go to a math lesson, probably there is going to be a resistance. But if you tell them that this is the way how to count the money to buy your next toy, then maybe you will get some good results, right? Perfect. Thank you so much, Paul. I don't think we have any other questions, at least from what I see. So Paul, thank you so much for joining, and maybe to wrap up this episode, when can we expect the book?
I said I'm going to have. I need to get some time to do that. I'm probably going to wait until after I retire, because all of those people who shouldn't be here anymore probably won't be. But then again, I'm going to have to change some dates and some names and whatever.
We're looking forward, and please make it also humorous.
But I'm
So
absolutely. But
this will be a bestseller
I've
then.
got the challenge for you there, Michał. You're going to get a chapter to write. I've just volunteered you.
Thank you so much. I mean, we're almost at the hour, so thank you so much for everyone who joined. Thank you for really good, valuable questions. If you enjoyed the show and seeking for more information about delivery successful projects, especially with testing related delivery, so just make sure to follow us and stay in touch. You can visit our YouTube channel for more and see more episodes of navigating SAP API testing. Thank you again, Paul, for this conversation, and thank you everyone else for
I
joining.
loved it. Thank you.